I gave my best friend's sister a massage. Then she whispered, "You're better than my ex." The moment she whispered those words, I felt my entire world stop. Her voice was soft, almost trembling, but what she said hit me like a sudden storm in the middle of a quiet night. "You're better than my ex." For a second, I didn't even breathe, not because the words were romantic, but because of everything they carried behind them: pain, disappointment, broken trust, and a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, life could still be kind. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment right now. If you believe that kindness can change lives, that second chances matter, and that small moments can reshape a person's future, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach people who truly need them. My name is Ethan, and until that afternoon, I had always been the kind of person who stayed quietly in the background of other people's lives. I wasn't the confident guy people noticed when he walked into a room. I wasn't the one telling jokes at parties or drawing attention in a crowd. I was just the dependable friend, the one people called when something went wrong, the one who helped move furniture, fixed broken shelves, or listened when someone needed to talk. And honestly, I was okay with that, but life had not been easy lately. 2 years earlier, my small physiotherapy clinic had nearly collapsed. A bad business decision and a partner who disappeared with half the funds left me buried in debt. I worked long hours just trying to stay afloat, treating sports injuries, chronic pain patients, and elderly clients who depended on me to move without suffering. Some nights I went home so exhausted that I fell asleep sitting on the couch. Other nights the silence in my apartment felt heavier than the work. My best friend Daniel had always been one of the few people who truly understood me. We grew up together, survived school together, and even when life took us in different directions, we stayed close. Daniel was the kind of guy who lit up a room without trying. People naturally gravitated toward him. He had confidence, humor, and an energy that made everyone feel comfortable. But his younger sister, Lily, was completely different. Lily had always been quiet, thoughtful, observant. When we were teenagers, she was just the shy girl who sat at the dinner table listening to Daniel and me talk about stupid things like football and video games. But time has a strange way of changing people. The last few years had been difficult for her. She had moved away, started a relationship that looked perfect from the outside, and then everything fell apart. I didn't know the full story at first. Daniel only told me pieces, enough to understand that Lily had gone through something painful, something that broke her confidence, something that made her stop trusting people. One afternoon, Daniel called me while I was closing the clinic. His voice sounded unusually serious. He explained that Lily had moved back to town after ending her relationship. She had been dealing with constant neck and shoulder pain from stress and long hours working remotely. He remembered that physiotherapy and massage therapy were part of my practice and asked if I could help her. Of course, I said yes. Helping people was the one thing in life that always made sense to me. The next day, Lily came to the clinic. When she walked through the door, I barely recognized her at first, not because she looked older, but because something about her expression had changed. There was a quiet sadness behind her smile, the kind people wear when they are trying to appear strong even though they're still healing. She greeted me warmly, but there was a hesitation in her eyes. Like someone who had been disappointed too many times. During the initial assessment, she explained that months of stress and poor sleep had caused severe tension in her shoulders and upper back. Her muscles were tight, almost locked, but it wasn't just physical tension. Anyone who works in rehabilitation learns to recognize emotional weight inside the body. Pain doesn't always come from injury. Sometimes it comes from everything we carry inside. As the massage session began, the room was quiet except for soft music and the steady rhythm of breathing. I worked slowly and carefully, focusing on the areas where the muscles felt hardest. Years of experience had taught me that rushing never helped. The body needed patience. At first, she remained silent. But gradually, as the tension began to ease, something else started to happen. Her breathing slowed, her shoulders relaxed, and the invisible wall she had built around herself began to soften. Time passed quietly. Then, near the end of the session, something unexpected happened. Her voice broke the silence, not loudly, not dramatically, just a soft whisper that carried more emotion than any shout ever could. "You're better than my ex." The words were simple, but the meaning behind them felt heavy. I paused for a moment, unsure how to respond, not because I misunderstood her, but because I knew those words were not really about me. They were about everything she had endured before walking into that room. The truth slowly unfolded over the next few weeks. Lily continued coming to the clinic regularly, and as her physical pain improved, she began sharing more about what she had gone through. Her previous relationship had started beautifully. Her ex had been charming, attentive, and seemingly supportive, but slowly things changed. Criticism replaced compliments. Control replaced care. Small comments about her appearance, her choices, her confidence began to chip away at her self-worth. Nothing dramatic enough for outsiders to notice, but enough to slowly break someone from the inside. By the time the relationship ended, Lily felt like a stranger to herself. She doubted her decisions. She questioned her value, and worst of all, she believed she deserved the way she had been treated. Hearing this was difficult, not because I felt angry at her ex, though part of me did, but because I saw how easily good people can start believing they are not enough. And that's one of the cruelest lies life can teach. Over time, our sessions became more than just therapy. They became small steps toward rebuilding confidence. I encouraged her to focus on the progress she was making, both physically and emotionally. She started sleeping better. Her posture improved. The constant tension in her shoulders slowly faded, but the most noticeable change was in her smile. At first it had been cautious, almost fragile, then it became genuine again. One afternoon after a session, we stepped outside the clinic to enjoy the fresh air. The sky was clear, the kind of calm afternoon that makes the world feel peaceful. She looked different that day, lighter, like someone who had finally put down a heavy weight they had been carrying for too long. She thanked me for helping her feel like herself again. And in that moment, I realized something important. Sometimes people don't need grand gestures. They don't need someone to rescue them. They just need someone who treats them with basic kindness and respect. Something that should never be rare, yet somehow is. Our friendship grew stronger after that. We started meeting for coffee occasionally, talking about life, work, and future plans. Nothing rushed, nothing complicated. Just two people learning that healing doesn't always come from dramatic moments. Sometimes it grows quietly, one small step at a time. Months passed, and life at the clinic began improving too. Word-of-mouth recommendations brought more clients, and the financial pressure that once felt overwhelming slowly began easing. For the first time in years, I felt hopeful again, and Lily did too. She started pursuing hobbies she had abandoned during her difficult relationship: painting, hiking, and volunteering at a local animal shelter. Watching her rediscover joy was one of the most rewarding things I had ever experienced, because when someone finally believes in their own worth again, it changes everything. One evening, while sitting on Daniel's porch during a small family gathering, I looked around and realized how much life had changed. Daniel was laughing with friends. The sunset painted the sky in soft colors, and Lily sat nearby, smiling in a way that looked completely different from the woman who first walked into my clinic months earlier. There was strength in that smile now, confidence, peace. And in that moment I understood something simple but powerful. Kindness doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just patience. Sometimes it's listening. Sometimes it's helping someone stand again after life has pushed them down. But those small moments, they matter more than we realize, because one simple act of care can become the beginning of someone's healing. Before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Please take a moment and leave a comment below. Tell us about a moment when someone's kindness changed your life, or when you helped someone who needed support. Your story might inspire someone reading the comments today. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please support the channel by liking the video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing so more people can experience stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. And one more thing we're curious about: from which country are you watching this story today? Let us know in the comments so we can see how far kindness travels across the world. Globe.